Good morning. So lovely. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning at 9:45 for our Walk Well session. So we are going to be working barefoot this morning, looking at our feet and the anatomy of your feet. So if you've still got your shoes on, pop your shoes off, get yourself down on the ground, and let's take a look at our feet. Good morning. Good morning. So I was just saying there at the introduction, so we are going to be, this is our Walk Well session. So for this session this morning, we are going to begin, we're taking it step by step, literally. We're going to look at the anatomy of the foot and then how we can move your feet and look at the structure of those. So, and actually sort of really gain some sort of respect and amazement at your feet. So if you haven't got your shoes off, please take your shoes and socks off. I know some people are squeamish about your feet. Let's hope we can maybe change your perception on that. So if you've just joined us, I know you've got a few there, just give us a quick hello and let's just check in with you. Go. Hang on. There we go. I haven't seen anybody saying hello yet. There we go. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Gillian. Good morning, Jill. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Take your shoes and socks off and let's have a look at your feet. Okay, so what we're going to do today is look at your feet, and many of you will know, but let's recap that. So how many nerve endings in the bottom of one foot? We've got 7,000 nerve endings in the bottom of just one foot. So the sensitivity that you can imagine that goes on there with 7,000 nerve endings in the bottom of one foot. There's a huge amount of information being relayed back all the time there about your proprioception, your awareness of body in space is also happening through your feet and reacting to the ground all the time. It's really good to practice being bare feet. Now, I know that this isn't the weather outside at the moment for being barefoot. As you know, many of you will know that I am a barefoot walker. That I haven't done it this year, but there have been years that I will just take my shoes off and do a minute walk in the snow and the ice. You do have to, if you are tempted to do that, it is recommended that you only keep it really, really short, because as you can imagine, that as your feet get really, really cold, then they aren't receiving that information, that they don't receive the information back to react quick enough if there's things underneath, so you can hurt your feet. So be careful with that, but it is very stimulating for your feet to do that. So we're inside today, but we are going to look at this. So the information you get back from the soles of your feet, they did some research many, many years ago, which I was fascinated with in looking at core stability and of your movement here. And they put little sense pads on all over the, not on me personally, just check the activation and the firing of muscles in your core and your stabilizations and your balance. And they found there was about a 60% decrease in muscle activation in terms of stabilizing muscles when you put shoes on than done in barefoot. So that speaks volumes to me. So I'll just say good morning as well. Got good morning, Christina. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Ron. I've got a few others there. So if you can see though, even if we don't work out, it's not always practical to be out there barefoot. Do make time to be barefoot inside in the summer. Even if it's only out in your garden. There are other reasons to do that. As we talk about building up positive or negative charge, that it is better if we release that positive charge that we build up by walking barefoot on the earth. I know a lot of alternative like clinics used to recommend that when people were staying for extended stays for medical conditions, to get outside on the bare earth to help sort of like discharge that positive charge to create the negative charge. It's very important for your well-being. So all those nerve endings, if you've got little ones and children, again, especially when babies are learning to walk, really important that you keep them in a very thin, soft soled shoe or barefoot as long as possible. That will influence their whole gait and their ability to balance and their sense. It's a hugely amount of feedback that comes back. It often reminds me of, you see the artists, the foot artists. Think about the dexterity that is possible still with our feet, that can be possible with your feet there. So they receive a huge amount of information. I know some of you have been doing some barefoot walking last summer. It's amazing, it's incredible what that does in terms of the feedback and your well-being. So somebody's just put walking. I can't see that text yet. I'll come and see that in a minute. So we're going to go through it slowly. Today we're just going to talk about the 3 points on the soles of your foot. I will eventually be working with 9 points on your feet, but I've drawn this on for your foot today. So I'd like you to look at my foot. I'm going to bring that really close. Can you see there 3 points? Okay, so you've got the outside edge of my foot is between 1 and 2. And then you've got the ball of the big toe and going into my big toe as point 3. Okay, so when you're walking, we're going to discuss that later. They're the 2 lines I want you to think of when you are walking. And if you think walking is the best exercise you can get for your feet, as long as you're allowing a sense of awareness of how well you're walking. Now, first of all, let's do a little bit of a warm up for our feet. So what I'd like you to do, I'm just going to take a step back. Just take one foot and let's get hold of the little toe and the toe next to it and pull it apart as wide as you can. So if you have shoes on quite a lot, this is really important to do this, particularly at the end of the day. I did have, those of you remember, way before lockdown, I was selling these gel toe spacers. They're absolutely amazing. I'll have to see if I can find where I got those again. So, but they're really natural. They're so comfortable. They just spread your toes while you're walking around inside. Let's take the next toe and the toe next to it and spread it really wide. And then let's take the next toe, spread it really wide. And let's take the next big toe. Hopefully, if you've done all your toes, not got an extra toe there. Okay. So once you've spread all your toes, we're going to try and get a finger between them. So if you bring your leg up towards you, if you've got knee problems in this position, what I'd recommend is putting a cushion underneath the back of your knee so you're not locking and pressing down on that knee too much. But we're going to take your little finger and we're going to put your little finger between the little toe and the toe next to it. So you've got palm of your hand towards the sole of your foot. And then ring finger between the next two, and the next finger between the next two, and the first finger. So you should have 4 fingers. It's a while since I've done those. And you can squeeze. So today we're only going to be working on one foot. I would encourage you when we finish the session to both sense the difference, well, as we're going along, the difference between the 2 feet, the foot you've worked on and the foot that you haven't, and then to balance yourself up afterwards if you would like to do both feet as well. So let's squeeze that between. Now you've got your fingers. If all your fingers struggle to go between, do your best. You could sort of like push one finger down more and let the other finger pop out a bit and then go between the other toe if it doesn't quite go between all of them. And now squeeze all your toes as if you're trying to pick up a pencil while your fingers are between them. Ooh. And release. Now with your hand, gently ease your toes to flex back. And then again now, squeeze all your toes. And take all your fingers to flex that toe back. And then one more, squeeze your toes as if you're picking a pencil up. And take all your toes back. Lovely. Release your fingers, just give your toes a wiggle. Take your two thumbs, and I'd like you to put your two thumbs on the sole of your foot and all of your fingers on the top side of your foot. And then as if you're wringing a dishcloth out, you spiral opposite directions. So you're doing this kind of movement with your hands on the sole of your foot. Good morning, Beryl. Lovely to see you. So Gillian, if you're doing it while you're sat on the computer, what we're actually going to do in a minute is some things, and maybe later on, because this walk well is going to be done over the 6 weeks. We'll be doing things that you can do on the computer. I do hope that you might be barefoot while you're at home on the computer as well. Okay, so we've done the wringing the dishcloth out. Okay, just circle your ankle round, take your foot off, and then now I'd like you to take your thumbs again, put one thumb on the big toe, the next thumb on the toe next to it, stroke down until you get just below where you get to the joint. So you get where the main joint. So if you bend your big toe, you'll feel the big joint. I then want you to do what I call it's up and down movement. So if you're going, so you're pushing down on one toe and pulling up on the other on the actual, can you see that? Up and down on the joint. So you can feel, it's easier to feel where the joint is on the big toe. It's not quite as easy on the other toe, but the big toe gives you a good starting place. And then let's move and do the next two. So can you find the joint on the next? So one toe gets a second go with the toe next to it, if that makes sense. And then move over one toe again. And then move over one toe again. And the last exercise we're going to do with your hands, so this little bit of a massage manipulation, is we're going to put all 4 fingers into the ball of your foot and 2 thumbs over the toes, and you push your toes down. I've got a crack, anybody else? While you push up strongly with your fingers. So it's like you're trying to round and bend your foot around where your fingers are pushing up into the ball of your foot. So we have 2 arches in your feet. We have a longitude arch, which most people know about, but you also have a transverse arch, which is the one you're working on. Now get all 5 toes and pull them back. And one more. Put all 8 fingers under the ball of your foot, pull up and bend all the toes over the top. Lovely. Give your toes a wriggle. So if you've just joined us, I know there's a few that have just joined us. I'm going to show you the sole of my foot again, so you can have a look at these lines I've drawn on here. Okay. Can you see along the outside edge is a 1 to 2. And then by the ball of the foot is a 3. It's another line. This is the lines we're going to focus on when you are walking. I'm glad the world can see the sole of my foot there. Okay. So let's stand up. Okay. So feet a little bit apart. I'd like you to sway forwards and back. Forwards and back. And as you sway forwards, I want you to sense that 1 to 2 line. And then feel the pressure on the 3 at the very end. That's your balance point, and then sway back. So you can then do it also with your knees. So if you put your hands on, if you turn your knees out, sway forwards, turn your knees in, you'll find that number 3, and come back. Turn the knees out, sway forwards, turn the knees in, you'll find that number 3, sway back. Good morning, Andrea. It does. Thank you for joining up on that, on the StreamYard one, Andrea. It does make it easier. When you see at the top of the post, when it say, join us by StreamYard, all that means is that on my really big screen, I can see your name rather than looking at the phone. Lovely. Swaying forward and back. So just spend a moment now sensing the difference between the foot that you've worked on and the other foot. Is there a difference? Okay, I didn't say which foot to work on, whether you worked and mirrored me or not may be interesting, or whether you just picked your most dominant foot. Okay, and then what I'd like you to do is this time is go from side to side, but I want you to weight shift so slowly that just like these weigh scales here, you can sense the balance. Okay, so how slowly, and this is what happens when you walk. When you're walking, there's this balance and transfer. So the leg that you've just been working on, for me it's this leg, I'd like you to put all your weight on. Lovely. And then I'd like you to lift and bend your knee up out to the side, roll your knee in, put that back. So lift the ball of your foot. We're now going to find that line 1 to 2. Press really heavy and then come over to your number 3 and come back. Lift the ball of your foot. Push down that line 1 to 2, come over to your number 3 and push it back. So what I'm trying to simulate here is that when you're walking, this is an exaggerated movement of what your leg will be doing. It's ever so subtly, but when you step forward, your knee will go out and you'll land through onto your big toe. So when the next time you're out walking, what I want you to be aware of is that as you place your heel down, it's on that place on the outside. It's not a heavy step forward. You roll through your 1 to 2, and then as you are pushing off, imagine you're balancing on that 3 number line, so between the ball of your big toe, and it sounds really simple, but actually to find on this push through phase here, the number 3 line, like you're on a tightrope, will completely change. So if you remember that, as you're moving forwards, it's the outside edge. And then as you push through, it's like you're balancing on a line of your big toe. Okay. So as most of you'll know, I'm hoping, as we talked about whether you were a pusher or a puller. Okay, so what's a puller? So a puller would be you would swing your leg forwards, as I've just done, and you would literally pull yourself forwards. Moving in. Okay. Now, ironically, ironically, it's snowing and it's icy, and today there'll be more of a whole foot, is what I call the Thunderbird's walk, which is actually quite appropriate. The Thunderbird's walk, which is like the puppets, is much more effective on ice and snow, which is where you place whole foot down. It's like you've got snowshoes. That is a much more effective way of walking. So there's no pushing and no pulling when you're on snow and ice. Now, the effective way of walking when you are normally is not pulling, is not Thunderbird walking, okay, is actually pushing. So I have to be setting off a period of time. So if you walk around, when you practice now, it's about how far you can allow the leg to go behind you to push and drive you forwards. And what that relies on here is the amount of range and flexibility into your hip flexor, which some of you will know about already, but we will be recapping. It's really important that you've got some release here of your psoas muscle and hip flexor. Otherwise, your back is going to pull on your back every time you step because it's not got the range. What's also interesting, and it does feel really strange to do this initially, is that walking is in effect it's also balancing. But if you watch toddlers, they almost stagger and fall, and that is how it is a little bit. So if we just stand up and you rock forwards and back, okay, notice some people rock forwards with just their head. Some people manage to just rock forwards with the pelvis. Can you just slightly rock forwards? Can you sense all of it rocking? And walking is a slight lean forwards, and it does feel really strange the first time you do that. And it's actually then a lean forwards and a push behind. It's better experienced when you're doing it for a length of time, particularly if you're going uphill. Now, the thing with going uphill is people tend to just lean downwards. So if you can keep yourself up, and it's this moving, and it does naturally, it takes less effort to do that, but it's all about the push and how long you can leave your leg on the ground behind you. And once you're doing that, you're on that number 3 point. So if you balance, if you sense between that big toe, I'll show you one more time. So if you sense that number 3 line, that as you push through is what you want to be feeling. As you push through here, it's almost like you're on a single line on that number 3 point. It's your big toe is your balancer. Okay. You'll have so much appreciation of your big toe when you start to appreciate and start to work with that. If you're walking and feel it, feel that balance at your big toe and really feel that line all the time when you're walking, that number 3. They're the 2 things I'd like you to focus on when you're walking this week, is that number 2 line on the outside. But if you lose that, just keep focusing on that number 3 balance point and how much it can give you as a push through. Really feel the ball of the toe. The big toe is the balancer. The ball of the toe is the push. That's what's going to give you your push through. Okay, so just to complete our session, if you're not stood up already, I encourage you to do. If you take a posture break as well, this is part of the posture break ones. So really good to switch on those core muscles. Okay, whenever you're ready, the leg that you've been working on, stand on one leg. Okay, and then just hold that as a balance for a moment. And then while you're on your one leg, okay, other leg crosses in front and behind. You remember this one. Hopefully, this is a good one to be practicing. Brush your teeth in the morning. If you haven't done already, brush your teeth in the morning in one leg. You don't need to be doing this with your leg when you're brushing your teeth, but just on one leg. Do you remember we talked about that these core muscles go to sleep really quick? Just if you've been asleep in bed all night, let that leg move around, challenge your balance, wake it up. The more you can stagger, the better. And then find your balance. Look with just your head and your eyes. Now look with your head, eyes and chest. The more you wobble, the better. Let's look trigger on. And now move with your head, chest and your pelvis. That's really going to challenge your... So we're working on the leg that you massaged when we set off. Lovely. So let's swap legs. Give that foot a really good shake. Really good shake. Leave that leg up in the air. Okay. And little tiny pulses. Up, up, up. This is really beneficial for the knee. Stabilize it. It'll wake up. If you're going to go out for a walk now, it'll wake up. What we're doing is waking up all those muscles. Keep going, but turn your foot outwards. Up, up, up. Turn your foot inwards. Straight up. Turn your foot outwards. Can you feel this yet? It'll wake up. It's really good for your knees. It'll wake up those muscles. And turn your foot outwards. And let's swing the leg. Those of you who do the Nordic walking will know that we do this as a warm-up. So as you're swinging the leg, keep going. Can you get the knee back beyond the leg that's not moving? Okay, the benefit is this, if we just explained to you, it's all about can you find that range? And then can you kick, if you need a chair to get hold of, can you kick your bottom while you keep your knee back beyond there, so you're not kicking your bottom up here. Lovely. Give both legs a jiggle. Okay, a little bit more balance. Are we ready? Up, bend your knees, lift both heels as high as you can. Come a little bit lower, go up, put your heels down, bend your knees, lift your heels, go a little bit lower, up, put your heels down. Heels as high as you can, down, up, and again. You choose if you can go all the way down, go all the way down. You don't have to do if you're looking after your knees. Keep those heels as high as you can. And down. Same leg you've been working on. Shake that off. Make loose fists onto your thighs, sides, and into your buttocks. Well done. So that is your beginnings of your walk well. We're going to be adding 9 points to your feet. We'll be doing more and more. We'll work up all the whole body in terms of how we then get across line. Just have to catch my breath a little bit after that. And then remember, so how many nerve endings in the bottom of one foot? 7,000. We've got 26 bones in one foot, 33 joints. I love that. That's a magic number, is that? 33. And over 100 muscles, ligaments, and tendons. So incredibly intricate. So just wherever you are now, sense the difference between your 2 feet and everything you've done on one foot and the other foot, and let me know how that's feeling. And then when we finish the session, if you want to go and remember all that and do that on your other foot. So main thing to remember is when you're walking out for today's session, when you're out walking this week, is sense that number 3 line, that push through, so you can feel your big toe. It's a little bit, it's not quite like a rudder on the back of a ship and a boat, but your big toe is that balancer, and the ball of your foot is the power point. Really feel that pushes, and see how long you can leave your leg to travel back beyond your body. The problem always comes when people overstride forwards, because that's the heavy heel strike that you don't want. You don't want a heavy heel strike. It's just a gentle, and the leg, when it swings forward, hardly comes forward of the body at all. It lands just underneath the midline. All your power comes from how far your leg can travel back beyond your body, and then feel your power point of that number 3 point. Do it one more time for you. That number 3 point, balancing on that tightrope. So, and then feed back to me when I see you next week on Friday, how that feels with feeling that power, and how long you can leave that leg driving behind you, and then just let it return back to neutral almost. So have a good day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for joining me. I'm just going to have a quick look, put up in the comments. It's having all the devices okay. So thank you very much, and I shall see you all soon. Dee's going to be here on Sunday doing a tribal belly dance on 6 o'clock on a Sunday, but keep your eyes and ears peeled, because I'm planning on putting in a soothing, I'm going to do a guided visualization and sleep session, and maybe an extra roller session as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for these extra sessions being put in. So have a good day, and I shall see you all soon. Thank you.